That's how we own it.
What's up, family? It's your girl, Tamika D. Mallory.
And it's your boy, Mysonne, the General.
And we are your hosts of Street Politicians, the place where the streets and politics meet. What's going on, my son, Lennon? You had a rough few days.
Yeah, it's been a little rough, man.
Well, let me just say to you that the entire Street Politicians and Until Freedom family, we want to send our deepest condolences to you and the Lennon family in this time of loss. Your mother, Patricia Lennon, a very, very special woman who I had the privilege of calling a friend and getting to meet her at all of your functions, especially Miriam Day, where we all learned about feisty Patricia. And she really has taken so many of us on as her children, friends, sisters. And so over time, I've learned how beautiful she is as a woman and just such a strong warrior spirit. And it also helps to give me a real close understanding of who you are and how you came to be the feisty man that sometimes you are that gets on my nerves, but that's for a different show. And so just want to say that we love you, we support you. And I know that this is not a time that, is even, you can't even understand it. I hear people talk all the time about when they lose their parent. It is, most undescribable. But we as your village will continue to be here to walk you through what this new life looks like without your mom. And I think the last thing I'll say is that we know at Until Freedom particularly, and also the Street Politicians family, we've watched you leave meetings, rooms, adjust schedules, have to not travel at times, change things around so that your schedule would accommodate you being there to take care of your mom, being there to walk her through these last very difficult 2 years of her life. And we know that, even if sometimes it doesn't feel that way to you, that you really showed the rest of us what it's like to take care of a parent when they are in need. So shout out to you and salute to you for being a stalwart in your family in terms of taking care of your mother, Mama Patricia Lennon.
Thank you, man. It's not a lot to say. I don't want to get really emotional, but that was my favorite girl, man. And the energy, the strength, and the belief she gave me about myself and life is unmatched. And watching her fight for the last 2 years with a strength, with a smile, looking at me, looking in my eyes, just wanting me to know that she was fighting was just something that was phenomenal, man. And I was there with her on her final moments, and I told her how proud I was. And, I couldn't ask for anything. I'm just happy and honored to have been, to still be her son, and I hope that, I did something that made her proud. So
you are.
Sleep in peace.
You make us all proud. You still a scrub, but you make us all proud. So we love you. One thing about Patricia is she always had a laugh. And so we're going to continue to make sure we keep it light for you and for all of us. That makes me think about this whole idea of elder care, man, and how we also, as a part of Street Politicians, we really, and just our organizational efforts, we really got to get people our age and before our age to start thinking about taking care of their parents. Because I learned, even before Patricia got sick, I learned from my mother's experience that, we're not prepared. We're not really ready for what it takes to care for and all the things financially, emotionally. What happens if they need to live with you, or you got to figure out how to be with them? What happens at night when they're sick? It's so many things that goes into taking care of your older loved one, and not to your parent, because you become the parent. And not to mention, there are not a lot of resources out there to help you take care of them, and so I learned that with my family. Thank God my father is still here and able to take care of my mother every day, which means that the burden of that work is not on my sister and my siblings and me, but yet and still it wears and tears on him. Like we really should probably be doing even more. You know what I'm saying? So it is really just watching you, looking at what happened in my situation and what continues to happen there, and just our friends and others who are trying to care for their parents. We have to be more educated. Nobody ever taught us that. Nobody told us what to do. We always were the ones being taken care of.
It's a lot, man. It's a heavy, it's a heavy cross to bear, and I think, but you want to, I think we have children. I think they had us, they say you take care of your children so eventually they can take care of you. And it was an honor for me, man, just to be able to be somebody that she needed, to feel that she needed me. And I had to come through for her all the time and be able to have her smile and know that when she seen me there, she felt safe. Every time I would be with her, doctor's appointments, anything, no matter what it was, she wanted me to be there because she felt that she was safe every time I was there. And I remember being a kid, and you don't care what you're going through, you just want to hold your mommy's hand, or your daddy's hand because it made you feel safe. And she would do that to me. So I was blessed to be able to be there for her.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it is a blessing. And you're right. When my mom was in the hospital, we just picked up and just jumped into it. Even if nobody ever taught you, which we do need that information. What do you do about their finances and, all of that. But at the same time, I think it is natural because you have learned from your parents. It's like a spirit that gets in you that you want to help them. You're going to fight. You're going to make sure people take care of them properly. But I do think that there's so much more to uncover and break down in terms of what are the steps that people need to know, like what documents need to be signed, power of attorneys, paper. These are things people are like, what is I didn't even know what that was. I had no idea that I needed a form so I could have the ability to speak on my mother's behalf. I had no idea. I thought I'm my mother's child. That's it. This is my mother's husband. My sister, this is my mother's daughter. That's it. It doesn't actually work that way. It doesn't, not that it doesn't actually work that way. It does not work that way. There are literal documents that people have to have so that they can have conversations with doctors and otherwise on behalf of parents. So elder care, we're going to get into that and make sure that we cover in memory of Patricia Lennon. We want to make sure we cover that and help people to know what do they do when their parent is in distress. So again, RIP to your mom, and we love and support you so much. So there's so many things that's happening in the midst of, you dealing with your situation. There's, the news, nothing stops. The cycle doesn't stop of craziness going on around us. Just a couple of days ago, I saw a video of the young people, or I don't even know if they were young people, they had masks and whatnot. So I'm not going to put this on young people, but some folks who look like our people because their skin looked dark, running into the Louis Vuitton store, which is in the mall that I frequent. And actually, I've been in that Louis Vuitton store a million times. It's been there for years. And they were doing a smash and grab. And I'm like, wow, this is still happening. Maybe the media is not covering it as much, but it's still happening. I'm trying, and I know that we all, we want to say, well, the system and it's a sign of the times and whatever. But I'm like, I'm trying to figure out, how do we make that stop before somebody gets killed? Because I saw the people doing the smash and grab, but there were staff members, clerks, or salespeople, who chased the security guard. Step back. Yeah. I don't know if you watched this video.
I watched it.
The security guard got out the way, but the salespeople followed and chased these folks around the mall. I just feel like, what if somebody would have fell down the escalator? Like, what happens if somebody gets harmed? And it makes me so scared every time. I could care less about the bags, the shoes, the clothes, the whatever, but the life, whether it's the robber or the salesperson or whatever, I just don't know where this ends. And it's easy for us to say, well, you just gotta, they need to do better. It's inflation, because it is inflation, which is very serious. Like, people can't even afford groceries, clothes, anything. But is it enough that because there is the problem of inflation, that people are now going out just deciding they're going to take what they want?
I don't think it's just inflation. I think it's glamorization, right? I think when you go on Instagram, when you go on YouTube, and everybody who is a status symbol, right? When everybody has on Louis Vuitton and they're saying, this Louis costs this much, and I got the Louis this, and every song is talking about that, right? And you're from a community and from a household where you can't afford that. Right. So you feel like you need these things to validate you. If you have these things, then you are in the in crowd. You can be accepted. You can put it on Instagram. You can say, look what I got. You know what I'm saying? And I say that about most of these brands. These brands are status symbols. They're not, because most people don't buy these brands be like, oh, this just looks so dope. Right. I watched some of the ugliest Louis Vuitton shit I ever seen. Some of the ugliest Gucci, like, it's some of the stuff that people wear, those Balenciaga sneakers that look like orthopedic shoes. I just would never wear them. But people say, oh, they cost $1,000. And they got jeans that be so ugly that they cost $1,000. And they say, oh, these are Miris. They don't care. You look at them like, damn, them jeans don't really look good. Like, you look at those boots that, shout out to Fat Joe, that he had on, right? And you look and say, I'm just not gonna wear those, right?
But they Kanye's,
and they cost this amount of money. Now, since people can go into these stores and they've seen it happen on YouTube, they've seen the little smash and grab, people are taking a try, man. So
but it's so serious. It's not like funny, like, it's really serious. I don't know. I mean, it scares the hell out of me. And I think you're right. Instagram and all of that, it does make it. And listen, I'm not one to tell people that they shouldn't wear their Poochie, Tucci, and Louis. That's fine with me. I support it because I wear some of it as well. But like, this right here was like $29. Like, you don't have to always have the highest brands. And you got a phenomenon of either people buying fake stuff, trying to keep up, or people buying or people stealing in order to keep up. And I just, like I said, I hope nobody gets hurt. So listen, the last thing in our little news segment, because, we try to do a little bit of news on street politician, mask mandates are being lifted in a lot of places. And there's certain people that are bugged out who are okay with that. And I say that, I was really talking about you, but I'll give you opportunity to tell me how you think on your own, because I think we should be wearing masks 24/7. Sometimes you catch me, I be having my mask on in my car, which is kind of crazy. But, and I mean, I know that's a little bit extra, but I kind of find myself trying to wear my mask as much as possible. And I don't always do it when I should, but I try. So now that the mandates are being lifted, people are going to get even more lax. Hopefully, we have passed the point of COVID being this big, bad thing. And now we're getting to a point where we understand we got to live with it. We need to be healthy. We need to eat right, take care of ourselves. You got many people, especially people who are vulnerable, who are vaccinated. And hopefully that's the direction we're traveling in. But I can't lie and say that I don't feel a little concerned that you got people out here, a lot of them nasty asses anyway, who won't have their mask on.
I think for me, the word mandate has always been the issue for me, right? I think for people such as yourself who don't like to be around germs, right? You can get a N95 mask, you can wear 2 masks, right? You can protect yourself. They have things that actually protect any level of anybody else's breath from getting to you. And that's something that you should be able to do, right? I think, and those things, just like when you walk in a restaurant, if you don't want somebody next to you, you can move places, right? There are people who have been traumatized so much by the pandemic that they never want to be around other people, right? That they're never going to not wear their mask. It's just a reality that we deal with. For me personally, I think there are so many different, viruses and diseases that are as contagious and can have adverse effects that we've been living with without masks for a long time. Everybody doesn't agree with that. And I understand some people think that they feel that the mask is the most safest thing for them. And I think you can still wear masks. It's just that it's not mandated, right? Everybody doesn't want to wear masks. Everyone doesn't feel that they require to wear masks. That's an individual's choice. I think when we live in America and you start taking away individual's choice, when the science and the numbers show you that COVID is just as effective as pretty much.
You mean effective?
What do you mean? I mean,
COVID is effective. I don't know what that means.
Well, it affects people in a manner that just about any other virus that we've ever had. It has the same. It has the same.
I'm not going to argue with you today.
It's not. I'm trying to explain something to you. It had the same mortality rate. It actually has lower mortality rates than most viruses.
What? What are you talking about? 600,000 people died in months.
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. And if you look at the rate of mortality, right, and the rate of something is the amount of people who have been affected by something in comparison to the amount of people who have recovered and people who have actually died, right? So if you look throughout any virus that we've had, the rate of mortality, the rate of recovery is pretty much even to all of the viruses we have. This is not something I'm thinking. This is what the CDC says. This is what the thing says. So
I would challenge that, but
okay, you can challenge it. So what I'm trying to say is the reason, and that's the reason why the mandates are coming off, because the science shows that it's safe enough to do so. And if
the director said she don't think we out of the woods. But you know what? I don't even know why I said that, because
I'm glad you just said that.
I don't even know why I said that, because
changes what they say every 2 days. So the reality situation is nobody knows, and you got to make yourself as safe as you feel that you need to be. You need to wear 3 masks. Wear 3 masks. You feel like you need to stay home and don't go to indoor dining.
I'm trying to be funny,
not wearing a mask. Don't do it. People you make sure that you're comfortable and you're safe.
Anyway, so moving on, let me tell you about
that?
how we're about to be done. We have talked way too long already because our guests are ready to join and we're going to have to go to them. My little thought of the day was going to be about Black Lives Matter donations. And I really wanted to talk about whether or not all Black people look the same. That was going to be my thought of the day. Like, do people really think that all of us are the same exact person, right? Because that's what they say. Everybody looks the same. So I wanted to break that down, but we don't have time today because our guests are already waiting. I'm super excited. Let's go to this great conversation. And it's going to be actually 2 different conversations today with people that we love that are just super dope. So, Mice, we've got friends as usual. On Street Politicians is a very friendly place because we have such great friends that do such incredible work, and it's just super dope. And the 2 individuals that we have today are our friends, our dear brother and sister. I think, it seems like we try to do our one Valentine's Day show, and then it was just so much more that we talked about that needs to be covered, about not just people in relationships from a love perspective. We've been talking about polyamorous relationships. We've been talking about traditional relationships, but there's so much to be said about folks just working together and being in a relationship. How much is too much? How much time is too much time to spend together? How much is not enough? Like, how do you really be a great helpmate? And I think one of the things that Derek Grace said in his interview was that his helpmate has helped to really change his reality and helped him to grow his business and his potential. That's one of the things that, as I try to find my husband, my king, that is one of the things that I really want to make sure is that we're invested in one another's growth from a business perspective as well, because that's what I like to do. I like to get my hands in, and I like to, help to, in any situation, make whoever I'm working with, whoever I'm living with, loving, and or just good friends with, help them to be better, and you help me to be better. And I don't know if enough people are invested in that. And so I think that our guest, that they exemplify what it is to support one another and to be helpmates, but also still carrying on a very, very successful relationship. So we are talking to Jay Morrison and Ernestine Johnson Morrison, the great. Let me just tell y'all quickly about these two individuals separately, are really dynamic individuals. Ernestine, you are an actress, yes. You are a filmmaker, you are an incredible poet, which is how I was introduced to your amazing talents. You're an entrepreneur, you're a mom, you are so many things, you wear so many different titles, you're a fashionista. And then Jay, who I've known for a long time. Jay and I have sort of grown over these last, I don't know, maybe 10 years together, trying to find our space in this quest to make our communities better, to build, a future for our children and for generations to come. And so Jay is an educator. That's how I met Jay, teaching classes with a whiteboard. Give Jay a whiteboard, he could do anything. A business mogul, a real estate expert, the founder of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, of which I am also, and you, my son, we are invested in. We're partners of, look, I always say it wrong, and Jay gets me right every time, so he's going to fix it when it's time for him to speak. A dad of three beautiful, beautiful women. They're women and a baby girl, because the big girls are women now. From when we first met to now, these are, our women. So you guys separately are amazing, but together y'all are the dynamic duo, the powerhouse couple. So listen, guys, y'all, these are our friends, and we're ready to kick it with y'all about the doing business as a couple.
Yes. Well, thank you for having us. Thank you for that grand introduction. I'm feeling good now.
Thank you, sis. Thank you, street politicians, man. We're happy to be here. Yeah, I'm happy.
So what's the secret? What is the secret to your success as a couple, success as business people? Like, what do you think is the core thing, like the major things that you have to look for to have that level of success in both areas?
I start by saying purpose alignment, I think, is really the secret. And also what we found, as we're now like going with our third year, going our fourth year married, I think July be 4 years already.
Yeah, July be 4 years.
Wow. So also knowing that we don't know everything, like we don't got it all figured out, and accepting that it's a journey, right? And so we're constantly evolving as individuals, like spiritually and business, professionally. Obviously I'm a visionary, so I always got different ideas and want to be the best CEO of our last name, right? Leader and visionary of the family. And I think just understand that we don't got it all figured out, and that we're doing this thing called life together. And we're so it's important for me to make sure that I'm cleaving to her and being patient as she's being patient with me, as I'm figuring myself out still. I'm still growing as a person, as a man. I don't even know fully where I'm supposed to be all the way, right? So I'm still figuring that out, while she's still figuring herself out in momhood for the first time and all that. We're just being patient with each other as we figure it out together.
To piggyback off what King Jay said, and my son, I don't think that there are any shortcuts. So if anyone out there thinks that there's a shortcut, there's not. Like, I think that on top of what King Jay said, the shortcut is, the secret really is work. Like, it's really putting in the work. Like, everything that you want to do, whether it's business, whether it's relationship, it all takes work. There are no shortcuts. There is no like secret magic potion that you can drink and you blossom and you arrive. I think everything takes work. And Jay and I are both very intentional about working on ourselves individually. We're very intentional about working on our marriage. We read books together. We do marriage counseling together. Even when it's challenging, when it hurts, when it's icky and sticky, we face it and we dissect it and we do the work. Like we do the work necessary to be the best versions of ourselves, which in turn makes us the best version for each other. So I think the secret sauce, the shortcut is just putting in the work.
Putting in the work. So you know what? I want to go backwards because I remember when you talked about purpose alignment, Jay, that struck for me and just reminded me of how you guys started. Where it seemed, and I may be wrong, but it seemed that Jay was, he was out there, like, the corner classes, the whole thing. He was out traveling with his whiteboard around with the vision. And you seem to be very supportive of that, Ernestine, like as if, and then I would watch as we would be, out on the streets or watching you guys out around the country, and you would come and do poetry during the middle of a street, gathering of people learning about financial security and really how we go from the block and the corner to like sustainable communities.
Yeah.
And you found the messaging was intertwined. So is that kind of like what made y'all say, okay, this can work? Because you guys were able to mesh so well in the very beginning when you were trying to like figure out how to expand?
Yes. I would absolutely say that the connectivity in the beginning, that our purposes were so aligned, the vision, the messaging was so aligned that it made it easier for us to work together. It made it easy for us to align because the vision was the same. The vision was the same. The purpose was the same. And although Jay may have had in his individual walk and I had my individual walk, it was like when God brought us together, it was like, this is how you can take your individual vision and purpose and your individual vision and purpose and combine the two, because they were almost like yin and yang. They went hand in hand with each other.
Yeah. And I would say like, we often say, and I grew up the same way, you used the term helpmate, right? And I've always thought of it like that till a few years ago. Actually, Ernestine's grandfather, rest in peace, explained to us that the Bible actually says help meet when you read it. It says to find a help meet because she's to help you meet your vision. And as I've been studying later, and help you achieve your goals, right? So God created man, right? Depending on religious perspective, but this term helpmate or help meet comes from the Bible really. And it's God created man and he created a woman. So man was not alone, and God gave man a purpose, and a woman was to help that man meet his purpose. Right. And that man was to love and sacrifice for that woman. And so I think like, as I was out on the corner classes, on your tail at protests and demonstrations all over the country, and just trying to offer myself of service to our community, I was like in the dating game, and it was all about like what looks pretty and what's fly and, all the physical attraction and those things. And when I met Ernestine, it was like great energy, great vibes. And when I did a corner class here in Atlanta, and I seen her like perform on Black Love and Dear Black Man, and there was just something magical because it was like she was in her own element and space. She wasn't like trying to like be in my space, but with her own talents and gifts, they just complemented the exact community repair that I want to try to contribute to or achieve. And so, I think when you have the alignment of purpose, as she said, it just made it easier. I was like, look, this is a woman right here that can, in a different way, help me meet what I believe is my purpose and my goals.
That's dope. I've been along this road with you guys, both of you, my good friends. And, I watched y'all when y'all started this relationship, watched the evolution, was at your wedding, seeing y'all bring forth a beautiful child together. Is there anything about marriage that you thought before that has changed? Like, how long have you been married now?
It will be 4 years in July.
Yeah.
Yes. Is there any ideologies or things or just visions about marriage that you thought prior to being married that have changed, evolved, or you were like, it either evolved or it just changed? Like, well, I thought this what marriage was, or I thought this, or I thought that. Has it changed for you in any way?
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely say marriage is ever changing. I think it's ever evolving. I think I had an idea of marriage in my head as a woman, like a little bit of the fairy tale, not all the way, because I'm not a fairy tale person, I'm very realistic, but I think there was a sector of the fairy tale marriage and married life, what it looked like, and a little piece of it in my heart. And then I think when you get into it, you realize these are two different people from two different walks of life with different habits and kinks and quirks and personality traits that have now combined into one. And you don't think about it that way. You're like, wow, like you have to learn to live with this person and their behavioral and their traits and their little habits. And like, you have to learn this person. It's like becoming family. It's almost like if you were a brother or sister, you had a sibling and then a new sibling entered the home. It's like, you have to get to know this person in your atmosphere. So I think you don't really think about it like that when you think about marriage. But I think now that I'm in it, I'm like, okay, wow, you have to learn this person. You have to grow with this person. You have to evolve with this person. This person has to evolve with you. And, they say you change every 7 years, but I feel like we're always ever changing. I think we're changing daily. So I think it's a very serious commitment to say, I want to be on this journey with you through the evolution, through the changes, through the personality changes, through the behavioral traits. I want to be on this journey with you.
Yeah. And I think when I heard Jay talking about, because I was on the dating, whatever, on that trail with Jay too. We watched a few stuffs happen, right? And, you talked about being attracted to a certain thing. It was what the person looked like. But I'm sure that it helped that when you saw Ernestine, it was like, she's dope. She's a poet. She got all this going on. But that thing also be thanging back there because she walked around that wagon. She's
also so inappropriate sometimes.
Listen, you can't not see it. It did just it doesn't disappear. It thanks. So
mice don't know because my brothers don't look.
That's right, man. I wouldn't. That's my sister. I've never seen. All I ever seen was Ernestine's face and her smile. I wouldn't even be able to tell you.
Listen, yeah, right. What y'all always say is nobody wants the person that no one else wants. Everybody wants to look at their person and say, I know y'all know I got a bad woman. So I'm sure that was also a part of how you were like, okay, I found you. It seemed like at some point you kind of find everything, like you get satisfied in so many different ways. It's almost like God's way of being like, I can give you what you need if you would be open to receive it. Look at Jay.
Right. I do agree with that. And I think like the beauty part, I agree, right? That's a foundational. We all like, you want somebody you're attracted to, right? So that's a foundational thing. I just think there's so much of that out there, right? There's so much, like, it's go through the gram. It's like, it's a million girls that look good, but now we get the substance. It's like, I'm a substantive person. So like, I can't do shallow, right? And then I come from the old school. I'm not like this new school thing of like, we just pass them around and everybody got who everybody been with. And that's the cool thing. Like, I don't want somebody that everybody been with and like, yo, that was that one's girl last week and that was my girl, but she got 1 million followers, so we cool. Like, I'm from like, I want somebody that everybody can't talk about, you know what I'm saying? So a virtuous woman. So all those things did like compile to like, okay, what do I need? Like, what do I want? Like, to your point, like, what do I want? And then what do I need? We're really kind of the combination, like for me. So it's like a lot of times as men, we just settle for what we want. And like you said, a thing be thanging, and that's what I want. And that's good enough. But then you gotta get down to like, what do you need though?
So in saying that, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember that y'all were on this abstaining from having sex with each other.
Right.
Right. And how long was this process? Because I remember you was like, well, we don't even, that's not what we doing. And I was like, really? Like, I was really like, this is when I knew that he was in love. Cause I'm like, what? Ain't no hanky panky. Like, well, this is spiritual. We love each other and we building. So tell me about that process. Because a lot of people have not done that.
Yeah, I think that we were both very adamant about, if you want something you never had, you got to do something you haven't done. And we both didn't want our relationship to the basis, the foundation to be based on sex. Because like Jay said, you can get that anywhere. We could all have sex. But I think we were very intentional coming out of relationships. We wanted to find something of substance. So we said, hey, let's abstain for 90 days. And we did 90 days. We were like,
It
we're
seemed like 90 days was a long damn
it
time.
seemed like it was a long, long time. It was a
Because I
long
was like, they still doing this?
that lasts like 3 days. It's like, okay, 2 more days, 2 more, okay, 2 more days. But it was kind of cool because it was like, okay, I know you. Like if sex fell off or, you know, God forbid one of us couldn't have sex anymore, would we still have a connection? And we do, because we built the spiritual connection, the friendship connection. We got to know each other without, you know, sex influencing our whole relationship. So I think it was a pretty cool thing.
And I know, like, for a man, like, to me, that just seems whack off face value, right? Like, and probably to most of us in the culture right now. But
I don't think it seems whack. For me, like, I don't want to cut you off. It don't seem whack. It just seems like, wow. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, wow.
Usual.
Because to come to that ideology, to come to that point in your mind, like it has to be a lot of different factors, right? You got to challenge yourself. You got to look at this person. You got to actually like this person. You got to want to build. You got to want to do something that's so outside the norm. So when you said that, I was like, okay, now this is serious.
Yeah, because you gotta think, like, it's easy to fall in lust. You feel me? And so a lot of times, and I know myself, right? Like, I'm a Scorpio, like I could fall in lust quick. You know what I'm saying? So it's easy to fall in lust and think you in love. And I just was at such a high frequency in my life at that time. It was like, nah, I don't even want to risk that. Because you could have a lot of fun with somebody, and next thing you know, that's just your
fun buddy.
Y'all locked in because y'all just have so much fun. Like that's your cup buddy. But it's like I just wanted to bring something different to the table. It's like, so to your point, it was like a wild thing. It's like, yo, can I like this person and can I not get bored of this person if sex ain't what entertain us?
But so let me just ask this question as we go to the business part. But right before that, do you think y'all were ready?
Ready for what?
To get married.
Yeah, I do.
You were ready?
Yeah.
I think so. I think that I think that having been married now, I appreciate all the counseling that we did and like premarital work that we did. I think that we also could have dug deeper at the same time.
So is marriage hard or is it easy? Be honest. Is marriage easy or hard? Because
Ernestine is ready. She got.
No, I know. So let me just say something, because being married and understanding the dynamics of it, and a lot of people will look at relationships, right? And since we live in the social media era, right, they only see Jay and Ernestine when they perfect and they loving each other and they kissing and they hugging and they got the African garb and then they doing stuff like this is what our relationship is, right? So when they can see that, and then if you are able to tell them something that makes them realize, like, really, we got to work, because if this person is saying that, then it gives me a different understanding of what I have to do, how you have to go through marriage, and what the process is. So can you tell me, do you think marriage is hard?
I think marriage is absolutely hard, but I think it's also like any relationship. I was talking about this with my girlfriends. Having a girlfriend, just a regular platonic girlfriend, is hard. So a marriage is definitely hard. I think any two humans who decide to be connected via any type of relationship is hard, because again, you have two different people from two different walks of life aligning together and joining to build a relationship. So I definitely think marriage is hard. I do agree with Jay. I still know that I was ready. I think we were ready. I know we were ready. I do agree with Jay though. We did a lot of work. Like, we read this book, His Needs, Her Needs, before we got married. We read it together. We did it with our marriage coach. We did all the marriage coaching and all that. But I do agree that you could go deeper, but I think you could always go deeper. Even if we went deeper, there was still another layer of deeper we could have went from there. Because again, you meet someone at 30, 40, that's 30 or 40 years of layers that you have to break through. So I don't think the work is ever deep enough. I think you need to go deep. You need to ask each other the hard questions, the religious questions, the spiritual questions, the finance questions, all your sexual desire questions, like all of those things. I think you have to dissect and break down when you are deciding you want to marry someone, because all these things come up and stuff comes up that you didn't even think about. You're like, oh, wow, I didn't even think to even ask about this. So I definitely know marriage is hard. it is work. It is like a job. But it's a career. It's not a job that you clock in and clock out. It's a career, and it's like you're an entrepreneur. You know, entrepreneurs, you never stop. There is no clock out. So marriage is like entrepreneurship at the highest level.
That's real. I was saying that when I called you, I said, I want to specifically know what it's like when Jay decides that he's going to do something and makes decisions, and then all of a sudden you have to become a part of trying to help deal with whatever has happened. Because
a lifetime plan. It ain't just,
yeah.
it ain't no thing that he says.
And she said,
you know what I'm saying? It ain't like, hey, we go to the store. No, it's listen, we're about to start this, and we're going to be invested in this for the next 10 years. So let's get it going. And he's gone.
Let me tell you guys something. This is how I know I'm meant to be Jay's wife. And Jay could be crazy all he wants to, but there is not many women who could stand here unwavering the way I stand here unwavering. Because my husband is, one, he's a Scorpio. Two, he is a freaking large visionary. When I say the biggest of visions Jay has, and he knows that he can do it, he's like, yeah, we're just gonna do this. It could be something astronomical. He's like, yeah, we're just gonna go do it. We're gonna do it tomorrow. And everyone will be like, wait a minute, tomorrow? Like hold on, wait, we gotta grab stuff. And he's like, no, we're doing it tomorrow. We're doing it next week. And I'm like, okay, but we all just said, we all been working diligently to go left. Now all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, you wanna go right. But we've been working for the last 8 months to go left. I got all the preparation, the roadmap, everything. And then he'll be like, nah, my spirit, God just told me we're supposed to go right now. And I'm like, God, show me telling you a lie, because it's always God told him. But
that's my man.
I think that I know that I am equipped to stand with Jay, because we have been through so much already, positive things, negative things. We have been so much to where Jay is ever changing. And I think that's what comes, I've been studying it lately, because I'm like, why is my husband insane, or is he a genius? And I think if you study most geniuses and most visionaries, I mean, if you maybe look at the Diddy's, the Tyler Perry's, I mean, I think they're always getting bright ideas, big ideas. And it's up to the team around them to either to be on board with it or not. Because one thing about Jay and true visionaries and leaders are gonna do it anyway. And it is hard. We have literally gotten to arguments and almost fights. Like, dude, you said we were going left. Now we're going right. I put my whole being and body and ingenuity and resources and relationships to going left. And now you want to go right. And there's been times where I'm like, oh my God, am I cut out for this man and his big, huge mind and his big, huge brain? And I remind myself, like, yes, God put you here for a reason. There was a very, very specific assignment on this man's life, and there's a very specific assignment on your life. So you have to weather the storm, baby girl. And it always works out, but it's not always easy. Sometimes I want to just
that's a word.
Not come upside the dome. Sometimes I just want to
So in marriage, right? Like what I realize with people, it's hard, like being honest.
Yeah.
Like, do you find at times that you want to say things, or you thinking about things, even sexual, just the way things that have changed, you don't like this anymore? Do you find it hard to like have those conversations with each other because you don't want to offend, you don't want to make them feel bad? Is that a hard space for you guys to do?
I would honestly say I would give us a 9.5 on a scale of 10.
Yeah,
we probably won't discuss it here, but we've had some of the toughest conversations of honesty, of like, yo, I'm here right now, or I'm on this right now, or I'm believing this, right? We've had some very, very honest, tough, like real friend type conversations. Like, y'all need, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need you to be my cliche wife. I don't need the princess fairy tale, group Cinderella. Like, nah, I need you to be my friend right now. And I want to be able to tell you what I would tell my homeboy. Like the same exact conversation I would tell my mans and them, I want to be able to tell you, and you accept it as my truth, as opposed to me living in a lie, and vice versa for her. So I think we've done an excellent job. And it's challenging, right? I don't mean that work will come behind it and all of that, but I think we've done a pretty good job out of all of our different components of marriage. I think with like constantly bringing our truth and our honesty to the table.
And it seems like from the conversation with Derek Grace and his beautiful woman, Chelsea, what we learn and what we keep hearing, or at least me, is that honesty component is what actually is keeping people going. Like it is the work. It's deep digging enough to say, I have to be able to tell you your idea is crazy. I don't like it. It doesn't feel like this is going to work. It's going to get us in this problem that we already were in before. I'm not trying to break you down or, and that's difficult because when I think for us as women, I don't know if you shared this, Ernestine, but for me, in my past relationship, I wanted to just be supportive all the time. I never wanted it to feel like I didn't believe in whatever idea, whatever it was that he came up with. But then there was some stuff that just felt like it was unrealistic. And one of the things that my mom told me one day is never wait to say it until you blurt it out in a moment of anger. Sit down and have the conversation, but that's hard because you need the anger as your courage juice sometimes. You know what I mean? So you can say, but doing it calm, and when somebody isn't expecting it and feeling like, wow, you hitting me from left field, it's difficult. And the other thing I'll say is that I also have felt that my word wasn't valued either because, oh, I've done this before and you don't know what you're doing. I'm more experienced in this area, but yet I could see a disaster coming. And sometimes I feel like our men don't necessarily listen to us or value what it is that we feel or the insight that we have. Do you think, Jay, that you do value I know you value what Ernestine says, but have there been moments when you sat back and said, damn, I really should have listened to her?
A ton of moments, right? I think that's probably been one of the largest argument points of our relationship has been that, and I still double down and stand on like, as a man, the head of the household, my job is to protect and provide and to make sure that like I'm leading the family forward, and I'm responsible and accountable to God, right, for what happens within the family. And so like, I hear my wife, and I try to remind her that, and I want to speak of all men right now, just because we don't do what y'all say does not mean we don't hear y'all or don't value your advice. We take the information, we assess the information, and then we do what we feel that is the best thing to do. Sometimes it's a home run, sometimes it's a base hit.
Do what you want to do, regardless of what we say.
Well, at the end of the day, what we feel is the best thing to do, right? Which is the thing that, right, we want to do in that situation, that we're guided to do in that situation. So we have to, as family units and couple units, is understand, like, it's like, for instance, you can't put your best baseball batter up and celebrate when we hit the home run and a triple and a double, but then when you strike out, or, you know what I mean? When you say, yo, curveball coming, but he don't think so, and he go with his gut, and now he strike out. Now it's like, oh, I told you so.
His gut been working. The gut been working before, right?
Hand
he been using before.
No hand raise.
Hand raise.
Let the women speak. Let the women speak.
No,
I wasn't even done.
But just know, sorry, because here's the thing. We're saying that we can see that didn't work before either. Like, we know, we're like, listen, this is not the best swing for you. I have watched you. I've studied your games. I've watched your moves. Like, I'm watching the tapes, right? Mm-hmm. So you're playing the game, you're moving, but I'm studying what's happening. I'm watching how every time you go up to bat and you get in that position, I'm the one that can see what the other team is saying and doing, because they're preparing to create the same shit this time that happened last time. So this is okay.
Okay. So tell me this.
Hold on. I also want to
go ahead, Ernestine.
I want to piggyback off Queen Tamika. Yes, everything that she said is true. We either studied the playbook, we know your moves. However, there's also something else called discernment. Just like you know that you are blessed with certain manly powers, women, we are blessed with discernment. And I am blessed with triple discernment because this passed down from my mother. I am gifted. So Jay knows this, and I've explained to him several times. I have been blessed with the gift of discernment. So sometimes I may see the curveball coming, even if it's not in the playbook. Even if I didn't study the other team, God already showed me that the curveball was coming. So I think when you get to a level of trust with your partner and understand your partner's gift of discernment, we should probably start following that gift, just like I follow your gifts. So
it's a balance.
And at the end of the day, that is wonderful. I know you have discernment. I know you studied your playbook. I get all that, and I process all that information. And you have to ask yourself: Is my man, despite if he hits his head multiple times or whatever, is he capable? Is he smart? Is he wise? Even if he screws up and he's hard-headed or doesn't listen to me or my discernment or my gifts or my whatever, at the end of the day, he reserves the right. He's earned the right. Because the same man that will get up in the middle of the night, if there's somebody coming in the house and sacrifice his life for the family, is the same man that will get up and go outside to make sure everything's okay. Is the same man that will stand up. That he's earned the right to be able to make that call and make a decision regardless of what the outcome is. Now, as men, we want to always become more wiser and pay attention and look at that best counsel. We're always growing and evolving, but it doesn't mean that we get some kind of like tarnish or some kind of blemish or some kind of months of I told you so's because you were right about something, we decided to do opposite. Like, you got to be able to trust your leader.
It's a very slippery slope, you know, being in relationships, especially being in marriages, especially as men, we look for a level of belief from our wives, right? You want your wife to believe in you. You want your wife to give you this energy that you can't lose, right? I remember I used to watch Rocky, and I always said I would have never married Adrian. Like, Adrian would just never have been my wife. Like, every time Rocky was about to fight, she'd be like, "You can't win. You see what he said, Rocky? You can't win." And that used to be like, yo, what kind of wife is that? Like, I don't want that, right? As men, we want to look at our wife and say, "Listen, I'm about to go climb that hill," and she'd be like, "You got it, baby. What you need? You need me to get some water? What you need me to do? You need to get on my shoulder." My man gonna do it. And it's because when you speak that energy into us, we can do anything. When we look in your face and we see that you believe in us, there's nothing in this world we're not going to accomplish. So when that, I think when you give your man that, and the 1 or 2 times you might come and say, "Well, babe, maybe we shouldn't, I believe in anything, but maybe we should try to not do this because something about this doesn't look right to me. It ain't about you, but to me." So once you poured in him that way, he's able to receive that in a different
hold on, wife, 1 second. Or hit some game for the queens, or say, "Babe, my discernment, my spirit, I saw the playbook. I don't think you should go with it, or we should go with it that way. But it's your choice. However you rock, I'm rocking with you anyway. But I just don't think that we should go that way because of how I feel inside. But whatever you do, babe, I'm rocking with you."
Because it's gonna make you feel. Because it's gonna make us feel like you believe in me, but you giving me some just. It don't make us feel like you just don't believe, right? And I gotta prove, because the world don't believe in us. We've been told by everybody in the world that you're gonna lose. I came from jail. They said you ain't gonna be nothing. You're gonna do this, and I had to prove them wrong every time. So when I start to sense a little bit of that in my own home, it makes me feel like I gotta prove to you too, like I gotta prove to everybody else. And we don't want that. I always want to feel like this is my best teammate. Right? I always want to feel like it's like when Jordan was on the court, it wasn't nobody like, "You don't give Jordan the ball." That's why he was able to hit every shot. When you see teams like watching Westbrook, right? It's his confidence right now. It ain't his game. His confidence, the media that made him feel like he can't hit a shot. His team is looking a little crazy when he do something wrong. Once that confidence goes from you, it's a lot harder. So we know that we can't let our confidence be taken. So have the ability and discernment to say, this message that I got to give to my husband, I just got to give it to him in a way that I know he's going to know that I still believe in him, but I just have a feeling in me, and then he's going to want to trust me a little more. Just a little bit of game, just a little bit.
Okay.
Ernestine, because that sounds, it's a lot of work. That's, as you said, it's a lot of work. And I'm not sure that our brothers always understand, our kings always understand how much work it is, because also, and we're out of time. Our next guest.
We could do this forever. This is dope interview.
Because what I wanted to also get into, because I know you guys are so vulnerable and transparent and everything that you are, because it is what it is. If we can't learn from one another, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you two questions. So maybe we'll wrap this up this way. Y'all talk about these two things. Number one is, Ernestine, do you think that Jay is as supportive of your career and your goals as you are of his ideas, his goals, and his things? Like, or is he so busy he can't always focus? Because that's a thing too, right? Like, it doesn't mean you're a bad person, but if you got a lot going on, it's kind of hard. And oftentimes I find that, because I've been in a relationship with a very busy man who was extremely supportive financially and everything else. But when I was trying to explain the whole story, he was like, huh? Like, what happened? I lost you somewhere. So that's one. And then two, the public critique that we are all, like, we deal every day with people attacking us and this and that and the third. And it hurts, you know, to walk into a situation. Anybody that gets in a relationship with Mysonne, Jay, me, Linda, the list goes on with all of us, yes, right? Of those people who are out here, Sean King, you know, you go on with the list, Ben Crump, Lee Merritt, the partner, y'all's wives and husband, they are going to experience the pain, the brutal abuse that goes along with that. So what has that been like? And then I'm done.
And then I got one more question.
We gotta go.
I feel like we're gonna need a part 2 for this, but I will start with the first question you asked. Is Jay as supportive of my career as I am his? And I will say this. So the answer is yes, but there's 2 parts. So in the love languages, in the book of the 5 love languages, I'm sure we're all familiar with or have read, you know, people have different love languages. And my love language is quality time and words of affirmation. I knew that before the book. I've always known that I'm attracted to. So Jay is absolutely 100% supportive, financially supportive, making sure stuff is lined up for me, like 100%. There have been times where I just wanted him to be there. Like, the entertainment scene, the acting world is not really his world. So like, he'll show up if I really want him to, but like, there have been times where I'm like, I just want you to be there. Like, yeah, I know you paid for it. I know you sent the driver. I know I'm straight, but like, I just want you to be there. So there have been times where I'm like, I just want you present in the moment with me. But in his love language is acts of service. So he's like, I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna serve, I'm gonna make sure the stuff is done. So Jay's 100% supportive of my career. I just produced my own show, Petty Claims Court. He was there, he showed up, he was an extra in the audience. I don't know if you guys watch Petty Claims Court, but yes, he was there in the courtroom, and he's totally there and showed up. So that made me really happy that he was there. And yeah, he's extremely supportive of what I do. I think that as a woman, I'm so career driven. And I think I wanted to add this to my answer earlier about what changes in marriage. I am a very career driven woman, and I didn't know how being married as a woman, and when you're married to a powerful man, it makes you get in your bag a little bit even more. Like, it makes you like, okay, like, I definitely got to go hard for my career because I worked so hard to build this. Whereas, you know, I probably should have been thinking, okay, let me focus on being married instead of just focusing on the career. Like, I'm not focused because I've always been focused, but prioritizing. Let me prioritize the family. Let me prioritize my marriage. But career-driven women, we are always constantly thinking about our career and how to incorporate it into the family and everything else. So that's a whole nother part too. Your second question, the scrutiny, the negativity, the comments, and I know we all have gone through it. But I think that what Jay and I have been through was a level I've never really witnessed or seen. And it was very hard for me. I'll let Jay answer for himself. I think it was a little bit easier for him, but it was very hard for me because I'd never been through anything like that. I mean, we had attack after attack after attack after, and still do. And I had to go through the brunt of it pregnant, which, being pregnant already, you feel like you're under attack. Your whole body's under attack. You're birthing something really big. As you know, you're a mother, Tamika, but going through that pregnant, it made me fall into a very deep depression. It made me fall into a very deep depression to where Jay and I's purpose, or what I thought was my purpose, started to disalign, because I was like, F this, F Black people, I'm done with everybody. I don't even want to do it. They can do what they want to do. Leave me alone. Like, that's the mentality I was growing into, because I was just like, the same people that we are fighting for are the people, or the same people who are fighting us. So I was like, I'm gonna admit myself from the equation. F everybody. Like, I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with this. I was in a very, very dark place over all the scrutiny that we went through. And God, thank you, God, that I made it out of that. And I birthed my baby, and she was healthy. And because it was times during the brunt of all of it, the height of all of it, where I thought I wasn't going to make it. I didn't think my baby was going to make it. I cried myself to sleep. I was depressed. I deleted my Instagram page and turned off my comments. I'm just like, yo, like, these people are crazy. Like, these are the same people that we are pouring love into, and resources and education into, and the same people who will put you on the damn crucify you. Mm-hmm. And so that was very hard. It's still very hard. And I think it also made me just get more into my career. I'm like, F it, all right, cool. I'm gonna, this acting thing and my career, my poetry, my speaking, I'm gonna pour all of that I was pouring into y'all. I'm gonna pour it into me, because I know that this is not going to fight me. It's not gonna fight me back. This loves me over here. You guys are not loving me. So I'm gonna go over here where there's love being served still. And that was very hard.
Go where the love is being served. That's good. Go where the love is being served.
Yes.
Jay?
Amen. Well, listen.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ernestine answered it well. I mean, my perspective is, my new perspective is really simple and succinct, is when we go through these attacks and abuse, you called it, right? It's just confirmation that you're in good company. Like, I mean, you could just go back through history. Every revolutionary person, every person that was a change agent and all that, have been through it. There's not been, we could just go down names, right? From recent day to President Obama to Malcolm X, MLK, Garvey, right? You, Sean King, everybody. So Moses, you know what I'm saying? Joseph, Jacob, Aaron, like, Jesus, call it. So to me, it just means like, you're just in good company. Like, you just got to accept that, that's the calling God put on your life. And had you not been walking that calling, you took an easier route, you wouldn't have been obedient, and you would be in different kind of company. So I just I've learned and evolved to embrace it and wear it as a rite of passage and a badge of honor.
Mice, you said you had another question.
No, I don't really have no other questions, man. I think y'all pretty much summed it up. It was amazing. I always speak to y'all alone, and we build all the time, and I love both of you. I love what you are. I love what you've grown into. I love what you represent.
We love you back.
And we just appreciate y'all, man. It's good to be able to talk to people who are all aligned the same purpose that you are, man. Yeah. Because we know that our people are some people hard to fight for, man. They trying to shoot you while you try to take the knife out their back. So this is our calling. So let's keep on winning, man. The Morrisons. Yeah, one of the couples to motto.
The Morrisons. Thank you.
God's grace.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining Street Politicians today. It's your first time on the show together, but you guys have to come back separately, because there's so much more that I think you can contribute to all of the conversations that we have on the show. We love y'all, appreciate you all, and kiss the babies, all of the children, the village for me.
I love y'all too. Peace.
Thank you for having us.
So I think, that was a really good interview. I knew that though. And I think we both knew it. And I think what happened was, while we were talking to Derek, Grace, and Chelsea, in my mind, I was thinking, wow, there's so much more to explore, but we didn't have 2 hours, because we talked to them for a long time. We didn't have 2 hours to stay in that conversation. And it was really coming to me that there are other couples that we know that working together component is so important. I do think that this idea of love and relationships, like everything else in our society, is evolving. That is also just the ideology and the path forward for like sustainable relationships. I don't know if I want to say it's changing, because I do think the traditional ideas of marriage and love works for a lot of people, but there has to be something more that we can do, like to be more honest or whatever about where we are, so that we can keep more Black families together. And I know there are people who will probably say, why are they talking about this? But, you know, first of all, we stay current. It is the love season, Black love, Black History Month. But I see so many of my friends and me as single women out here trying to sort of navigate and figure it out. And I think oftentimes it's because we have been told something is supposed to be a certain way, and when it's not that way, it throws off our ability to be able to see a broader picture. So I think, you know, Ernestine saying, yo, it's hard, but it's a career and it is work. You know, I think that for me was probably the most powerful point.
I think, you know, just being married and understanding the dynamics, understanding the ups, the downs and everything. I think when you look at marriage, you have to view it as a business, right? Like love can be a foundation. It can be one of the foundations that is built on. It has to be built on communication. It has to be built on respect. I think you have to have a friendship, right? And I think when you see real friends do business properly, they're able to build together, right? You can build on your own, right? And you can meet business partners outside of your own, that once you've already established your business model and your structure, that you're able to be successful. But it's almost impossible to be in a marriage with someone where you're not equally yoked and you're not moving and you're not building on a business model or structure. Like everything that we do is going to build and give our foundation stronger, right? It's almost impossible to do that separate. You know, it's not. So if you don't see that your marriage is a business and the mind state that your spouse has, you know, you have to continue to encourage them. You got to support them emotionally, physically, financially. They got to be able to sleep good because they got to be able to think. They got to be able to eat so they can go to work, so they can come back in these bills. If you don't view your marriage as in that manner, then there's no way for it to actually prosper. And so when you listen to both of those couples, even though one was polyamorous and one was traditional, it's basically just the same thing.
Right.
You know, they both understand how important it is for us to support each other and value each other and to build. As Jay says all the time, you know, we this is for our family's last name. Everything I do is for my family's last name. And if both people don't see that, then it's almost impossible to grow.
Yeah. So that's that. You know, till next year. I mean, I'm sure, because now it seems that this is such a popular topic. We're going to be talking to couples and people throughout the course of you know, the year that come from different perspectives on how to maintain all types of relationships. So that's a good thing. But we're going to shift gears and invite yet another friend. Tory actually has been with us before. Our brother, Tory Russell,
Yes.
From the International Black Freedom Alliance in Missouri and St. Louis, where real black people live, fight and do business and organizing every day. Tory is a freedom fighter. He is one of the leaders of the Ferguson movement that stood tall, continues to stand tall for our fallen brother, fallen soldier, Mike Brown Jr. And also, you know, I think the thing that for Tory that is most significant in my life is you, Tory, because you're already here, being an incredible strategist, and how so many in the movement don't give you credit for being the think tank and the brains behind a lot of things that we see out there. Because if I say, oh, you know, I want to do this, I want to move to Kentucky for Breonna Taylor, or I want to do these other things, it's really the conversations with you where we process how it's going to work, and what's the pros and cons that helps to advance us forward. So Tory Russell, we want to say thank you for joining Street Politicians for your second time. You are one of the only people, maybe you and maybe two other people, who've been on our show more than once. So there you go. 2022 flavor.
Yeah, feel privileged, King, Black King.
Appreciate it for having me.
So Tory, we want to talk about this whole crack pipe issue that we've been hearing about. And I was like, Mice, who do you think is the right person to come on to talk through? Because it's not funny. It's not funny at all. It's not funny, but it's hilarious. Like it's not funny, but it's hilarious how like everything we've been fighting, we say we want, right? We done said we want our voting rights to be secured. We want reparations. We want marijuana legislation passed. We want people freed from prison. We want political prisoners freed. We want our abortion rights. We want George Floyd Justice Policing Act. We want all that in the racial justice context. But somehow, what ends up coming to us is Juneteenth holiday. And I don't know, some stuff, I'm not going to say nothing because, you know, somebody showed me the other day, the administration done a few things here and there. And whether you want to.
But it ain't what we asked for.
I know, but whether you want to believe it or not, the infrastructure bill has some important things in it, in terms of people getting back to work. And now you have the drug or harm reduction strategy, which is an important thing. But like my son said, what did you say, Mice?
It ain't what we asked for, Joe.
What you
Joe, think? Come on, Joe. Like Tory, tell me, like, you're watching, you're on the internet, you're scrolling down, you know, and you see that Joe Biden approves the distribution of crack pipes and paraphernalia and drug paraphernalia for racial equity, and they say in the interest of racial equity. Like, what do you think at that moment?
He playing in our face. He keep playing in our face, fam. It's like, you know, let my people go. You know, how you gonna give us the crack pipe without freeing the crack dealer? You know what I'm saying? You know, my cousin them still locked up behind some laws that you put in place. Where they at? If you can give out crack pipes or paraphernalia or harm reduction, because you know neoliberals like to talk about harm reduction. Why you being harmed? You know, like less harm is okay. I want all the harm gone. And so it's like you could have sent Big Mama some free insulin for that kind of budget. It's a lot of people. Come on now. Now, if you're gonna give that out, then what about the insulin? What about some things that I know in my community we need? And even when we talk about like Juneteenth, you know, before Juneteenth, they came kneeling with kente cloths. So all we get is symbolism and not substance, you know, and that's the problem. You know, what's the point of putting Harriet Tubman and Maya Angelou on some dollars and they ain't gonna be in Black people's pockets?
You know what's interesting is when you say the insulin and other things like that, what immediately hit me is, first of all, I do believe in harm reduction. I do believe that I understand that there are people who use drugs who are out here spreading disease, and there is a need to have safe housing where once you get them, I guess the point of safe housing is if we can draw them here and letting them know that there's a safe place, we can keep them cleaned up and hopefully get them the help that they need and get them back into society. I'm with all of that, but yet and still, that's a small segment of the population. I not walk in my family. There are not 10 people on crack in, you know, in one area or whatever, right? It's not, that's not our situation. So why do I need more focus on that than I do the fact that I know I have at least 20 people who have diabetes, heart issues, and the list goes cancer. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think for me, you know, just going through this situation that I just went through with my mother and just watching how resources are so scarce for people who are actually dying, like from diseases like cancer. Like, you know, medication was costing like $300. And immediately when she was sick, they was trying to take away her insurance, you know? So I had to physically buy medication that she needed for $300 every time I was going to the doctor, right? But you can give out crack pipes, but you can't give this medication to people who are terminally ill. This, and all they need is certain things to make them comfortable. You don't want to make people that you know are terminally ill comfortable, but you want to give us crack pipes and you want to give us safe havens, a place that you can go and put insulin and put heroin inside your veins and all these things. And it's just like, what are you actually trying to say to us? Like, what are we thinking that we don't see that? When people are not outraged by this, when we're not sitting there saying, yo, this has got to stop, when our voices are not loud at these times, what is it actually saying? What are we saying?
You know, I as I look at it, I see it like I give harm reduction too, you know, but you know what can more addictive than crack? Sugar, fried foods. So harm reduction would look like putting some grocery stores in the hood, look like gardens and farms in the hood, look like some healthy food choices. I mean, if we're gonna talk about harm reduction and being healthier, then you know the school lunches should look like something that I would actually buy with my own money. And that's the problem. It's like they don't think about that. I don't know who in the White House. You know, we might want to. You know, I don't know what Simone doing in the back, but Simone might want to tap him on the shoulder and be like, yeah,
Simone is no longer in the White House.
She ain't there? Okay.
No,
so, you know, she had to, and that's the thing. Maybe it ain't enough.
Right.
Enough connected to the struggle.
Right.
Maybe that's the biggest problem.
I think it's that too. And I think a lot of them got in these rooms and realized, oh, these people ain't trying to change nothing. You know what I'm saying? Me standing next to him, eventually, I'm just a token Black, you know? So I think our approach to the system has to be different, right? Our approach to it has to be very intentional. Like everything that we do have to be intentional. We got to say, this is exactly what we want. We're not doing nothing else until we get this. And if we don't get this, we're willing to do this. Like it has to be very serious, because I think, you know, playing this political game that they playing, oh, the Dems want to do this, but the Republicans don't want to do it. Okay, the Republicans aren't going to do it, boom, boom, boom. Then we get a Republican thing, and then they give you 110 for what you do, and then they say, look, we tried to help you. Look, the Dems ain't want to do nothing, but no, the Dems wanted to get this done, and you knew you wasn't trying to free us, so you said we're going to let 3 people go, and we still going to keep the 1 million people, and the 3 people going to say, well, he let me go. You know what I'm saying? Look what he did for me. The 3 people.
That's Trump. That's Trump.
That's what I'm saying. People, but you ignore that Obama was trying to give retroactive laws that would have freed all the people, and then y'all said absolutely not, and then y'all let 10 people go, and they said, look, Trump let the people go. Obama ain't let nobody go, because they play this game. It's a game that everybody's playing, and we got to be tired of playing the game.
I think the only solutions, and this go back from Ferguson to Baltimore to us pulling up in Louisville, Kentucky, kind of chopping it up, seeing with Daniel Cameron and some of even the white so-called allied Democrats and people on the city council. It's like, for Black people, we need 3 full steps, and it ain't it. It's first and foremost the activists, advocates, organizers, the community leaders, and those people who are reluctant leaders. We need to band together and get them to run. We need we need less, really, and I'm just, I got to call it like it is. We need less Cory Booker Democrats, and we need more Gary Chamber Democrats. I mean, we need some senators that's going to speak their mind.
You did it wrong. You did it wrong.
What you mean?
We need less Cory Booker Democrats and more Cory Bush Democrats.
But so listen, the thing is, and Cory, my she my congresswoman. So, one is Gary he want to go to the Senate, and Cory is in the House. And so we need both. It's not good enough to have them just one or the other, because, it's a thing about the Congressional Black Caucus for Black people. We have to, not flip people and flip seats from Democrat to Republican or move people. We need to remove some of these House Negroes in the Congressional Black Caucus. And so that's our first issue. Our second issue is a Black agenda. And so what my sign is talking about is, Yeah, it's not enough to have Simone or Karen or Pierre and other people going there and being one Black person in the room talking to Kamala, talking to Biden. We need some Black people to say, look, this is what the agenda is, and we have to shout it out. Shout out to Ice Cube for being more politically correct than most of our political leaders and pundits on TV. While everyone was shouting them down, he was saying, let's sit down with both sides and see who can get the best deal, from Ice Cube to Killer Mike. And then third, if we can't get our people in, if they want to kind of go against like they did Charles Booker and had the right white girl run against him in the primary and now he can't get in, and we can't get our Black agenda listened to, then Black people locally in districts all across the country, we need our own political party. So I see the things that West talking about, I see the things that Diddy doing, but we need our own Black political party funded by everybody on our one agenda and run this thing not when it's shiny, not when we talking about the president or the Senate or the Congress. We talking about mayors, we talking about governors, we talking about attorney generals, but we also talking about city councils and school boards. And so we can debate about if critical race theory is this and that, but if we run the school board, we can teach the real history, and it ain't gonna be that it started in 1865 or that Black people didn't do this. We're gonna tell the whole history from Africa all the way to today.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think that there is a need for an entire shift and focus that in terms of where our movement is in general. I think we've gotten so caught up in who got what, who looked like this, who's close to Biden, who can get a meeting, who can't, that we sort of have lost the point that all of us are in the same struggle. Even if you got a little extra few dollars in your pocket, you still can be a rich dead Negro. Your child can be killed on the way to the basketball game at Harvard or wherever else. And guess what? What is even more likely and frequently happening is that while you may not be shot down by a bullet, there is a destruction of our minds based upon the aggression that we have to deal with every day. The idea that you have to go to work and be something that you are not, just so that you can make massa happy, right? Make massa stay off your back. That is killing us probably at a far higher rate than just being shot and killed by a police officer or something so graphic. And so I agree that at this point, there has to be a refocus, and I support 1,000% what Wes and Diddy and others are doing to try to put the pieces together of what our own party would look like. And I've been saying over and over, it may not start with us having our own candidates and leaving the system. It may start with us, of course, having our own candidates, but you know what I mean. We're not running totally on a separate political line.
One ticket, right.
On one ticket, like an independent situation.
Or like the Working Families Party. Right.
We may have to grow to that. But when we start out with the basic agenda where, again, to your point about Ice Cube, because I've been saying it over and over, I don't think that Ice Cube was wrong at all, period, not at all. We all support and agree with what he was saying and what needs to be done. What we said was the timing of this is off because we are now talking to Lucifer and his cousin, right? We're in a situation here where it's a very difficult thing because no matter what you could say, Trump, I don't care, we want Trump, we'll take Trump. That's what people say. They don't say they want him. Most people, they say, we'll take it. It all looks the same. It actually doesn't look the same because the policies that are being presented by this administration, whether it actually gets done, whether we agree, which we don't, with half the shit that they do, but nonetheless, it looks very different what the Democrats are, their agenda is and what they're fighting for than what they are doing on the conservative side, on the Republican side. If you look at what just happened in Alabama with the redistricting laws, where the Supreme Court has upheld their right to go and redraw the districts in Alabama, which will draw out Black folks. Those are conservative strategies that will ultimately allow them to take over this nation and fascism become it at its strongest, right? So we know that. So my position with Ice Cube was, my brother, let me help you, first of all.
Yeah.
And now when we got 2911 people running for Democratic nomination, this is the perfect time to slam them all and say, what you got, what's her name, Marianne Williamson, because that's who I like. But I was you know, obviously with what's her name, Elizabeth Warren a little bit, Bernie a little bit, you know, we was up in there. But
y'all was dating. Y'all wasn't going dating.
We was courting.
Right.
We need to just nothing's wrong with Ice Cube, anybody.
That's when he was supposed to come during the dating process.
We have to up our strategic. We got to up our strategic game. Yes, we know now what we want to demand. We know how to make the demand. We know our power. But now we got to get focused like they are so we can get on a real timeline of when to strike. And the time to strike is when we can actually scare even the Republican side, because now they know we got options and our people are focused on the fact that we're going to choose not just Joe Biden, who thinks he's our friend. Fuck Joe Biden, fuck Clyburn telling us that we got to go with Joe Biden. We, the people, decided we went boom, 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 boom. So I'm just saying all of that. I know I'm talking long, but it's so much to undress in order to get us to where we're going. And I personally think we're actually getting there, because people are now sitting back saying, wait, what the hell happened?
Yeah, how we get here?
Right.
How we get to Biden and Clyburn talking about reparations? Who need that? Like, what, you know, like, what, you Black, sir? Like, you ain't got no ancestors back there? You in the deep South, you in South Carolina, you in the corridor of shame, fam. And so it's pragmatic, but at the same time, you know me, I'm for Black people coming together. We ain't gotta agree. We can have different tactics and strategies, but we got to come together and have some unification on what we gonna do and how we gonna operate with one another. If some people, I'm probably more, you know, rap, and I like it that way, but other people might not take it that way. But we do have agreement on that Big Mama should have an insulin. We have agreement on that everybody should have masks. We do have agreement on that the curriculum in my school, be it early childhood, K through 12, or the HBCUs, should be fully funded, and they should be teaching us the truth, right? And we have some unified ways that we can connect. But this secular thing, or like you said, if Ice Cube would have, you know, when we was trying to hit him up, if he would have hit us up and said, hey, look, I said, bro, you about 5 or 6 months off. Okay, beloved, you're a little off, sir. I don't know if he was in the back on a yacht or making another, you know, movie or something.
Or trying to figure it out. He was trying to figure it out. Yeah.
And and so this the thing is, like you said, I'm not really a classist person in that way. I understand that any Negro from any class can sell you out. I done seen poor Negroes sell you out. I done seen rich niggas sell you out. But I done seen rich niggas get me out of jail. I done seen rich niggas come down to the ground. So we just need a unified effort between the rappers, the actors, the techies, the educators, the activists, the advocates, and the lobbyists to come together, have one conference, bang this out, spread the money around so people can get everybody in our community. Because we building Black agendas, and I get it, but unless we have the resources and the platform shared to take it to the people in the projects and you know, in the public housing and while they working at the job, then we ain't never gonna get it to the masses of people to even get a voting block to do what we did in Georgia. Just imagine what Georgia could be if we was moving that block for Stacey Abrams or for a candidate that say, look, my number one thing I'm running for is reparations for Black people. Or my number one thing is I'm not gonna go for tit for tat or go for symbolism. I need some concrete. We getting there. There's some districts that's doing some of that, but I think the connections are not there. And so I think that's our job as movement leaders and organizers to do that. Ice Cube, pick up the phone, fam.
Well, I know we're doing this, the National Black Political Convention in Newark this spring coming up. So it's geared toward that. It's gonna be, Chokeway is gonna be one of the sponsors of it, him and Mayor Barack. So it's
Baraka.
Baraka. I apologize, man, Baraka. So I'm on a planning committee for that now. So I think that's going to be something that everybody, I think that's one of the major discussions. Like, how do we move forward? How do we unify? How do we get one agenda? How do we get one motion? How do we get like this, like the ocean, move like the ocean to get where we need to go, man? So these conversations are needed, man. We definitely.
And I think, I feel like these conversations in public and many Black, from BNC, from Revolt TV to everybody, from Breakfast Club, everybody having these conversations. If we had the conversations in the back room and we come out in public, then that's the only thing that we can talk about is what we talking about in our agenda. And I celebrate anybody that try to hold the Democrats or Republicans responsible, because both of them, they just two different brands of white supremacy.
That's right.
Most of them are not Cori Bush. They ain't gonna be Ayanna Presley. They're not gonna be Gary Chamber. And so until we get the majority of the Congressional Black Caucus to do what Manchin and Sinema doing for white supremacists, when the Congressional Black Caucus is willing to shut down the country for reparations, for healthcare, for education, HBCU funding, so on and so forth, then we'll have something strong. And until then, we're gonna use our platforms, we're gonna use our social media, and we're gonna door knock and get to the people.
Well, that's all there is to be said. So I just want to say I appreciate your perspective. I think you definitely, as you said, you're much more radical. And you
twinkle.
You have helped to even sort of stretch the bounds of what we as leaders are capable of, just because we're able to see sort of outside of the framework. So, we can all sometimes get the plane inside of a box, and it's time to move outside of it. And I appreciate the reason, one of the things that I think makes me a greater leader is being around people like Mysonne and yourself, who, and a lot of people, they probably look at me and they're like, why are you doing that? Like, why don't you go and be around some of our other brothers that are super polished, super dope, educated, they got all the things. You guys have the exact same attributes, but the additional component is actually experiencing the issues, like really experiencing it, but living it every day, and also working very closely with those people who are still experiencing these issues. So that's what I'm attracted to. And I just want to say to both of y'all, I love y'all, and you guys really do make me better.
Okay. I got my flowers today. You hear that, Mike?
Get you a little flower today. A little flower.
We got our flowers today. Appreciate you,
right.
Tamika.
That was nice.
I'm gonna say the same back to you, Tamika, because what happens is we, before the movement or in the beginning, people would say things like, what if Malcolm and Martin could work together? What if the Black Panthers could work with SNCC and the SCLC? And what I see more times than not is that's what we do. And so, from the boulevard to the borough, to Capitol Hill, back to the hood, to the college campus, if you can have all these people, from us, from me to Tamika, with Linda, with my son, to Tina, Tiffany, like, we can go get people that's not traditionally ever gonna be in the room, come out of the room, slug it out, debate, cuss, go all up. No, nigga, this ain't blah, blah, blah. And then we come out unified, and we still get things done, from Breonna Taylor to Mike Brown and so on and so forth. And we doing our job. I think we just have to kind of figure out how we can duplicate this, how we can find our younger selves, our older selves, and the people in the grassroots, and kind of, solidify this process so people can know in history that in our real time, in our generation, we doing things like they did, but we doing something different because we expect something different, because it's our time.
We need something different.
We need something different, family.
We appreciate you, King. Keep doing the work. We're going to call you when we need you. Make good trouble.
Good trouble, always. Cause a little rugged. Hit me up on the Black Political Convention. I can plug you into some people and some things that people working
Definitely.
on. Can't wait till y'all come back up. If not, I'll probably pull up on y'all. Drinks on y'all though, right?
Yes. Thanks for joining Street Politicians today. Tory Russell, our brother, thank you for being with us.
Appreciate you.
Peace, T. And shout out to our brother Tory, man, always giving us a perspective from, people don't know that Tory's an educator. He's not just a strategist, he's actually a teacher, and I didn't know that. So when he always has historic facts that I never even know. We'd be talking about something like, in 1652, blah, blah, blah. Out of nowhere, he'd be like, we'd be talking about walking down the block, like, this building right here, it was built in 1500s, and it was by these people, and he breaks it all the way down, and he's very, very astute in that manner. So his perspective and his perspective on politics is coupled with his knowledge of history and understanding where we are in this time, and him just being from the hood. You combine all of that, man, you got real education. So I always like to hear Tory's perspectives, and he always gives me more of some fuel to continue to do what I'm doing, because I know I'm on the right road, man. So appreciate Tory.
And we didn't even get a chance to talk about how, I've also had to challenge Tory. Like, it doesn't mean that any one of us has it all figured out. We all are, if every day we sort of like what you say, dodging and weaving. And sometimes we have to pull one another's coattails and say, hey, how you're approaching this thing, let me give you all the ways in which this is going to impact our people and impact our community. So anyway, though, it's good to have Tory on today. I think it's been an insightful conversation in general.
And that kind of brings me to my, I don't get it. I know it's a topic that's a little old. I've been a little back off of social media for a few days, in light of what's going on in my mind. But this whole Joe Rogan situation, and in comparison to Whoopi's situation. And it's just crazy to me. I hear how India Arie originally wanted to pull her music from Spotify based on, the comments that Joe Rogan made, with the nigger comments, and also the monkeys and Planet of the Apes comments that he made. And then I hear recently that she accepts his apology and no longer wants to do that. And it's just like, I don't understand I don't understand how people don't see the difference. I've heard a lot of different people speaking up and saying that Joe Rogan is not racist. You know what I'm saying? He's not racist. I don't understand why people are calling him racist, this and that. And they've spoken up. But I haven't heard those same people who've spoken and said those things about Joe Rogan say that what Whoopi said is nowhere near racist. It's actually just somebody who has a different perspective or understanding of something. Even if she was wrong or right of what she thought race meant to her and how she expressed it, there was no ill intentions. There was no intention to harm. There was nobody making fun of anybody. There was no one trying to make light of something that happened to somebody. There was no one using derogatory names that historically have been, derogatory and used to harm someone. Nobody did that. Joe Rogan used the word nigger that historically has been used to harm Black people by white people. That every time it's been said by white people, it's been said that it's not to be said by white people. He called Black people monkeys, Planet of the Apes. He said that. They laughed about it. They thought it was a joke. You know what I'm saying? And we know that the reference from white people to Black people, calling them apes and monkeys, is a racist comment. There's nothing to say about it. You like Joe Rogan, you like a lot of things he do. There are racist white people that you will like, right? There are racist white people who they won't do something to harm you, but they just see you as a monkey. They just see you as a nigger because that's what they've been taught. That's what they've learned. They don't see you as the same level of value and stature that they have. And you might actually like that person because everything else they do outside of that is cool with you. They say a bunch of other good shit that you like, and you go there and you're like, oh, this person is dope. But they say some racist shit, and you might have your racist friend that's okay with you. But you can't say that it ain't racist. Don't say that it ain't racist. Don't say that the sky ain't blue when we can see the sky is blue. Say that you don't mind that the sky is blue. You would rather it be purple or something else, but acknowledge that it's blue, right? So when we look at Whoopi's situation, Black people say she ain't said nothing wrong. Say she ain't intentionally say something to harm somebody. Say that even if she was misinformed or she wasn't educated properly, or you don't agree with what she said, you know that there was no intent to harm someone, right? You know that she didn't think that when she said that someone would feel like they were harmed and that she intentionally tried to disrespect somebody, right? When we know when the word is nigger is used, every time it's used by a white person, Black people are disrespected. We know when you refer to Black people as monkeys and apes, they are disrespected. I don't get how anyone can see something wrong with one and not see something wrong with the other, right? And not have the same vigor to utilize their platforms or their voices to say, hey, this shit that's happening to Whoopi don't even make sense to me. I don't understand how we doing this, but you could say something about Joe Rogan. And I'm saying that about Black people. I'm saying Black people who know the historic context of apes and monkeys used by white people, and nigga used by Black people. I mean, by white people. So I just don't get how we constantly, we get on our horse and we cap for white people, but we don't utilize the same energy to save and speak up on behalf of our Black people. And I don't think I'm never going to get it. I know that it happens. I see it happen every day, but I don't think I'm never going to get it, and I'm never going to be okay with it. If we don't think nothing should happen to Joe Rogan and we think that it's okay, then we should have made sure that there's no way that Whoopi got no suspension for 2 weeks for saying something about race in a perspective that she thought. Not something that was negative, not something that was harmful. She didn't say what happened to the Jewish community was right. She didn't say, she didn't use derogatory terms to talk about Jews. She said it wasn't racist. She didn't think that. She thought color, Blacks and whites was race, like most people do. Most people are not aware. Most people see, we thought the Jewish was a religion. We didn't know that it was a race, right? So
it's not a race. And I think that what we learned together, the educational component, was that what happened to the Jewish people was based upon other individuals who wanted to be the more dominant, powerful race. So therefore, you understand why racism plays a role, because the social construct and the mental the dominance of one group over another is what we see happen with white supremacy all the time. So we learned the issue, and I think Whoopi also learned the issue. Nonetheless, the way in which she was chastised for her comments, which I agree with you, there was no ill intent. I don't think anybody really has said there was ill intent. However,
and there was an immediate apology.
Right, and there was an apology. Well, one thing I will say that I've also heard many people, not just Jewish people, but Black folks and others say, is that what you may not mean to be harmful can still hurt other people, right? So that's why an apology is necessary. And that's why she did what she did, to apologize immediately, because, whoa, I didn't know, I was educated. I apologize, I'm sorry. It wasn't my intention to harm, hurt, whatever. Okay, cool. To me, right? That was very sincere, because she immediately corrected herself for making a statement and then being educated that actually the way you're seeing it is from a very narrow perspective, and let's broaden your understanding so you could see it from a different perspective. I think that was very important. But I do see the disparity in the way in which a corporation can listen to a man using language that, as you said, has been identified 100% to be offensive, to be disrespectful, to be all the harmful, everything else intentionally, right? How they could see that behavior and not find reason to, at least, if nothing else, suspend him for 2 weeks. You know what I think is interesting, and I'll really leave this here, it's interesting to me that even though this happens in the same exact time period as Whoopi, this is just days apart. If it were the other way around, just because Joe Rogan was, just because Joe Rogan would have been like suspended, if it was the other way around, same scenario, the other way around, just because he was suspended, that would have set the tone for Whoopi coming behind him. She would have had to be suspended just because it already happened at Spotify with a white man. But it did not go that way based upon the fact that a Black woman at ABC was just chastised and reprimanded for what she did. And then a couple days later, something that was way more blatant. I'm not trying to be clear, because you know they'll go and say and recreate what we're saying. I'm not saying that there are not folks that heard Whoopi speaking and said, oh my God, like she doesn't get it. This hurt me. She erased my experience or my understanding. We're not saying that. We're saying that in these two situations, you had someone who was clearly ignorant to what we have now learned to be different, right? From what some people knew or what Whoopi understood. Now you go to a situation where we know that Joe Rogan was not ignorant, because he said when he made the statement about the Planet of the Apes, that's real racist. He said that. So he knew what he was saying was wrong, but he did it anyway. And you can't tell me he didn't think. He even challenged whoever his co-host or the other person, the guest that was on the show with him. He challenged that person. I bet you won't say nigga. You don't want to say it. You don't want to say it. Say nigga. Say nigga. He did that. He challenged him. So he was there playing a game. And even though Whoopi was reprimanded, he has not been. His apology, the white man's apology, was accepted with no further consequence.
Black people came with the cape, just like this.
Yeah.
To the white man's rescue. He ain't racist. That's my friend. He ain't so what? He said nigga and called us monkey. He ain't racist. He works with Black people. He works with Black people. Don't ever put you listen. He can call us monkeys and Planet of the Apes. It's not racist. Moving right along. And with that said, another dope episode. Shout out to King Jay and Queen Ernestine on their dope interview. I just want to say to my angel, to my queen, to my mama, I love you. You know, you fought one of the biggest fights I ever seen, and I know why I am a king, because you are a queen, and I will continue to live on this earth and make you proud. R.I.P. to the great Patricia Lennon. Yes, ma'am.
Listen to Street Politicians on the Black Effect Network on iHeartRadio.
And catch us every single Wednesday for the video version of Street Politicians on iWomen.tv.